class. So. Hello, guys. Welcome this morning. There's nobody in here just yet. I'll give it another minute or so. But just let you know that we are starting, and give me a sec. Okay, we'll get started here. Today we're going to be talking about dot loop. There's been some questions on dot loop lately, so we're just going to work on that just a little bit. So here we go. Let's get rolling. Dot loop. For those of you who don't know what dot loop is, well, it's Keller Williams' program that that is built into our KW system. We can get to it from either going to dotloop.com, putting in our email, or we can get to it from coming into your mykw.kw site, log in, and then if we come here to where it says My Transactions, Start Transactions. Okay. Now, notice that we're in dot loop. If your screen does not look black and red like it is right now, and it's blue and white, then you need to scroll all the way down to the bottom and contact this number 1-513-257-0551. Okay? Let them know what market center you work for and who's the managing broker. So in Keller Williams East Valley Tempe here, it's Market Center 161, and Shane Dobbs the broker. They'll just take a couple minutes. You'll have to log out, log back in, and you should come back in, and your screen should look like this, black and red. If it's the white and blue version, you only have like 14 loops you can use, or 14 days. I don't know, it's something like that. And then you got to start paying for it. So it's included in your fees with Keller Williams. So go ahead and take advantage of it. The great thing about dot loop is it's your zip forms, it's your SureClose, which is your transaction management system that keeps you completely 100% paperless for the most part, and it is also your DocuSign account. Okay, so it's 3-in-1. A little bit clunky when you're switching over from DocuSign to dot loop, but once you get used to this, I actually prefer it over DocuSign because I was a huge proponent of DocuSign, loved it. I like dot loop better. Okay, so let's get started with it. When you first log in, I know mine looks different, but I'm going to switch the views here. Yours probably looks like this with a bunch of circles. Now, when I have as many files as that I look at, to me this looks too clunky and too unorganized. Okay, I like to click this little icon and switch it to the list view. Okay, but whatever you guys prefer works best for you. I'll let this switch back here. Okay, here's my list view, keeps it nice and organized. Okay, just want to let you know there's this little tab right here, the search tab. You can put in the address of a property, the start of it, and it will find it. If I can remember an address. It will start, you just start putting it in and it'll start typing it, okay? I thought I knew the numbers of my street, but I have a listing that's on 6th Street. If I can just type 6, anything with a 6 will come up in here. Anyway, I can't even think of what the address is of the property that I have listed, but wow. Anyway, oh well. But you can start typing your property in there. You know, like we have all of our luxury agreements in here. I just start typing that, and then all of our agreements come up. Okay, so that's just an easy search function there. The next thing I want to show you is this filter. Okay, this filter right here, you can filter through whatever one of these they are. So if I want all sold properties, I click sold, uncheck all of these, and it will, if I hit filter, it will filter and bring sold in. It'll bring in archived, okay? So whenever you can't find a property, make sure your filters are set correctly, okay? We have sold, leased, and archived. I do leave those unchecked, okay? Now, this has no bearing on anything to do with the transaction. See how it says listing for sale, purchase for sale, lease, other? This just helps us keep it organized, okay? So this is a listing for sale. Now, loop status, okay? Loop status means if it's a pre-listing, a private listing, active listing, or under contract. Now, if it's sold, we go ahead and hit sold. If it canceled, we hit archive. So notice how 40th way right here, it says close. So when they say closed on here, that means that the whole property, the whole transaction's closed. Your check is ready for pickup. Your check is ready for pickup, or you it might say hold check. So if it says hold check, then you might have a couple items that are missing in there that you need to get in there and then have them submitted so they can release the check. But don't get too hung up on what these are, because they're for us to keep them organized, okay? So don't think this has anything to do with Armless. Now this is closed, so I'm going to go ahead and just mark it as sold. And if I refresh it, 40th way is going to be gone, okay? So now 40th way was at the top, now it's gone. All right. Now, let's get into creating a transaction, okay? Hey, Jasmine, I know you're in here. Let me see if I can't send a link. You know what, let me just tell her this real quick. All right, here we go. Okay, here we go. Let's see, somebody else popped in here. Let's see who it is. Oh, not showing me. All right, well, anyway, let's get started. So, to start a new transaction, what you're going to do is you're going to hit this create loop button here. Okay? Now, what we're going to do is we're going to name this property. What we like to do is we like to name them by the address. Okay? By the address first, because that helps keep it in order for us. So we can go 22222 North North Taylor Street, Gilbert, AZ. Now, notice how it was populating addresses in there. If it pops up as it was populating it, okay, go ahead and select that address because it'll auto-populate some information for you. Now, this one's obviously not going to pop up because there's no such address. I have Gilbert spelled wrong, so just kind of keep rolling with that, okay? But if it pops up, go ahead and select it. Then we want you to select a template. So what we mean by the template is this will put all of the forms in there that are for what you're looking for. Now, we want to be sure that we use the templates and not the shells, okay? So if we're doing a listing, we're going to select the resale listing template. If we're doing a contract on a purchase, we're going to go resale contract template, okay? Now, I'm just going to select resale contract template and we're going to create loop. Now, if it had the proper address, it would populate some of this stuff for us, okay? Now, notice it says all of these forms here are optional. These are most of the forms that you will use in a normal transaction, okay? So, doesn't mean that every form is in here, but all of them, most of them are, okay? Now, if you need to add any documents that aren't in here, okay, you can come here and you can go to add document. You can go to templates. This will bring up the different boards of where these forms are. Now, for us in Arizona, it's going to be the Arizona Association of Interactive Documents or Armless Interactive Documents. So we're just going to click on Arizona. Now, here's a list of all of the forms that you might need. So let's say I want to pull in this as-is addendum. I just select it and hit copy. It imported that up there. You'll notice the as-is addendum's right at the top. If we want to bring a document in from our computer, we just hit browse. We all know how to do this. We find the document, we bring it in, and hit open. Okay. All right. So that's how you add documents to this. Okay. Let's say you want to add another folder. Notice this says the sale folder in here. Okay. Let's say you want to add another folder, and let's just call it additional doc folder. All we do then is type that in, hit it, and now we have a new folder that we've selected. This comes in handy on the listings because on listings we have the listing folder, and then when we get a contract on it, we need to create a new folder that's the buyer folder. Okay, it's already created for you in there, but notice when you're in there, notice that you have to put the documents in the buyer side for the buyer side of that deal. Now, let's get to the good part of it. Okay, so when we come in and we select the document, the first time we select the document, it's going to ask us to autofill everything. In this case, we're representing the buyer, so we only want to fill in the buyer stuff. Don't put in the seller's names because it will automatically put signatures there for you to sign them. Then you would have to go in and disable them all. We're not representing the seller in this case, we're just doing the buyer. So you'll just come in here and we'll add a person, okay? So now we just type in their name. Jones. Okay. Now we need to put in his email address. tomj@gmail.com. Okay. Now we have to select a role for him. He's the buyer. Okay. We don't want to add him to our team because that gives him full control over the documents. We just want to leave that. Now, when you add me to the transaction, you need to add me to the team, okay? Because that way I can see everything that's going on in here and we can get our transaction coordinator, Vicky, on it. But when you add me to the team, be sure that you don't put me as admin, okay? Do not put me as admin because admin goes to the main office. I never see it. You can put me as transaction coordinator. You can put me at anything, but just not admin, okay? Now, you can put in his address and all of this stuff in here, and it'll auto-populate it all for you, okay, on page 9 of the contract. So the more information you put in here, the more it'll auto-populate for you. Once we do that, we are going to go ahead and hit add person. So Tom Jones has been added. Let's say there's a Mrs. Jones. We'll come in here, we'll add a person and add Mrs. Jones. We can always add them later, and I'll show you that. But for now, that's all we're doing. We'll go ahead and hit autofill. Okay, so now notice it autofilled Tom Jones. It also added a signature for Tom Jones. If we would have filled in the sellers, then they'd be places for him to sign here. Now, this is just click and play. Seller is Bobby Johnson. Okay, we just put in the address. We put in the date. We can just hover over this and select what date it is. We're good to go there. If there's other terms, we can go ahead and type there. Now, what you got to be careful with is, notice now it says Tom sign here, but buyer. There's only one buyer in this, okay? So we don't want this. If we don't make this say no one, it won't complete the file, won't complete this document because it still thinks somebody needs to sign it. So we need to make this say no one. Once we're done there, be sure that you save all documents. Okay, once you're done, then you can hit the back arrow and we'll go and we'll work on the next one. Okay, now when we come into the residential purchase contract, okay, here we can add more people to this. Okay, we still don't want to add the seller, but the buying agent is me. I can go ahead and put that, and it'll auto-populate most of my information on page 9. You can also add the listing agent here, and it'll auto-populate it. It's easier to do it here than to do it on the contract, but either or, whatever you prefer. Escrow title, same thing. We can add it here if you want. Okay? Now, once we get all that done, so just so you can see what I'm talking about, we'll just add a person here. We'll add that person. It's not liking my name. I don't know why I'm stuck on the J's today. All right, same thing with title. We can add them, and it will autofill that. Okay, I think you guys get the gist of that. We'll go ahead and hit autofill. Now, as far as purchase contract, okay, it's all pretty much click and type, click and type. Okay, be sure that you get your county and assessor number in here. Now, notice here that it says the initials. We need to make them say no one, okay? Very important that you get all of them, that they say no one, or you're able to put no one. We've marked check marks what we want, okay? If you need to add more check marks, we can't do it in this one, but I can show you in another one. But be sure every page, once again, we hit no one. So let me come down here to the bottom. We autofilled, took the time there, automatically put it in there, okay? Just helps us in the long run. Okay, so we're done with the purchase contract. We hit save. And share from here, because if you hit save and share from here, being really slow this morning. I don't like to do it this way because this just saves and shares the one document, okay? If I'm gonna send documents that are more than one, I already saved it. I'm gonna hit the back key. I wanna select multiple forms that I want my client to sign at once. That way they have to open just one email and not 4 different emails, because what happens when they have to open 4 that look like the same thing, they're going to miss something, and then you're going to have to call them and say, hey, or the listing agent's going to say, hey, I didn't get this, then you're going to have to go back to them and have them sign it. So select them all that you want them to sign, and then hit share. This uploads all the documents in there. Now, I always leave it can sign. I don't ever want to give them can fill and sign, because then they can automatically add stuff to the fields that we want. For one, it's confusing for them. 2, we don't want them changing stuff that we've already written in the contract. So we just leave it can sign. I personally like to check this box. Attach PDF to email. So it'll attach the PDF, makes it easy for them to open for their records, and then you hit share, and then it'll automatically go for them to sign. Now, when I hit that, I don't know what this is going to do because they're bad emails, but okay. So see how it says waiting on others, waiting on others, waiting on others? When they sign it, it'll say sign, 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 okay? You'll also get an email notification saying that they signed this document. Okay, now, sorry about that. Took a drink real quick. Let's say you want to rescind a document, okay, that it needs to be changed or something. We need to change something in the purchase contract. Sorry about that. We hover over this share tab right here. We click this. Now, from in here, once this loads, okay, we can pull this document back. See how it says reshare and more options? If we click that, so it's waiting for Tom Jones's signature. If we hover over this X, we can remove this document. We can hit continue, and we can exit out of it. Now it says not shared. We can come back in here, make the changes that we want, because I've done it. I've made a mistake. I've put 1 extra 0. Didn't put the correct address. I've misspelled the last name. We've all made those mistakes. We can come in here and we can make the correction, hit save, come back out of it, and resend it. Okay? So that's a way how you pull a document back once you've shared it. All right, I guess I haven't been checking the chat. So, hi, Jasmine. Sorry about that. That was probably from the beginning. Do you guys have any questions so far on kind of what I've covered? How to resend documents, how to autofill documents, and stuff like that. Okay? I'll leave it on the chat for now, see if I get any questions. Now, what happens when I get the purchase contract back from somebody and I need to put it in the folder? Okay? So, see if I can't find one. Let's just say, for instance, this was my listing loop and this is the buyer folder. Let's just pretend, okay? I need to add the whole offer package in here. So I'm going to come into, not my templates, I'm sorry. I'm going to come in here to my computer and I'm going to browse it. And I am going to find this offer that somebody sent to me. Notice it pulled it in. I'm going to open it. Okay, so here's an offer that I need to have. Granted, I already had my seller sign it, but let's say I need to place signatures, or I need to split this document, because, you know, a lot of times they send us a whole package and it's the purchase contract, the market conditions advisory, their pre-qual, their spuds, the whole shebang, okay? So we have these little options up here called split a document, okay? Now, it's okay if you don't want to split this document. Vicki will split it for you. Just either email her the document or upload it in there and she'll split it. But let's say we get a document that is upside down or sideways. We can rotate it, okay? So different things you can do in here. Now, when we get this contract, we need to place these signatures and initials for them. So check boxes and stuff like that, okay? Here's where we come in and we have the add button, okay? So we need to add initials to this document. We're just going to click add initials. click where we want it. We can drag it and move it where we want it, okay? But let's just say I want it there. We need to assign it to the person who's going to initial right there. Select Tom Jones. We need to add another initial box. We're going to put it right there. We're going to assign it, and I'm just going to put Lisa James, okay? Oh, you know what? She doesn't go there. How do I remove that? I click on the box that I want to remove. I come up here to where the X is, and I hit the X, and now that's gone, okay? It took me a while to figure that one out, so that's why I thought I'd share that with you guys on how to remove stuff. Okay, I need to add a checkbox right here. I'm going to come here, add checkbox. Gonna select right there, move it where I need it to be, click in there for the checkbox, and we're good to go. I need to add a strike through. I want to remove this from the contract. You're gonna let me? For some reason, it's not letting me add in a strike through. But that's how you do it. And it doesn't want to add it. But anyway, that's how you add a strike through. Dates, we usually don't worry about the date too much because whenever we sign, it time stamps the date for us. Okay? Now, when I need to add a signature, let's come down here to the bottom where people actually sign, and I'll place a signature. Pretty simple, almost like placing an initial. Okay, I need to add a signature. I'm going to come here, click Add Signature. Going to place the signature, move it where I want it, and assign it now. Okay. One of the cool features about this is, let's say, especially like on the lead-based paint addendum and stuff that you as the agent needs to sign, I'm going to go ahead and put Add Signature, add it here. But see this little Sign Now function? This is for you. When you're inside here, I like the way that signature looks. I'm going to adopt and sign. Guess what? I just signed that document, and it's time-stamped and dated. So you can sign that quick for yourself. Okay? All right, I'm done with that. I would go ahead and hit save. And if I needed to share it, I can go ahead and share it out. Now, Vicki usually will go in and submit these documents for you whenever they're done and they need to be submitted to the broker for review. Now, let's say you do that final walkthrough and that's the only thing you're missing. You put it in here. Vicki just hasn't got to it. Vicki's out of town. I'm out of town. We just can't, we're not in front of a computer to get to this, okay? We can submit this document ourselves. So that final walkthrough, we can select it, and that's all you need in order to get your check. You select the documents. You come up here to submit to review. That automatically goes to the broker for his review. He'll review it, and he'll let you know that everything's good to go. Okay. Now, let's say, oh, I forgot to add Mark. I need to get him on the transaction. We can scroll down to the bottom here and come here to add a person. Add me to the team, select the role, and go here. That's how you can add people to this. Now, I just want to show you what a loop looks like that's already been pretty much almost done. And we're going to end on this. So give me about 2 more minutes. All right, so here's a listing that Cheryl has. Remember, we have a listing folder because all of the listing documents go in there. And we have a buyer side folder, which all the buyer documents go in. Notice how they all don't say optional now? They all say approved. That's what you want. Approved, 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 approved. Notice this PDF says Winsong Binzer. The Binzer hasn't been submitted for review. So since I'm in here, I'm just going to select that document, submit it to review. That's in the buyer folder. I'm going to hit submit. And now that document, it should say submitted. Okay? So once he goes in and he looks at that, he'll mark that approved. Now, this is a good checklist for you guys to check on your files. Okay? This is the shells. Remember how at the beginning we can select a template or a shell? The broker will come in and put a shell in here because the shell is the checklist which tells you that everything is completed, okay? So you notice everything that is required is all has check marks. So they're good to go. Now we have a few more that still need to be taken care of. Required is applicable, required is applicable. Notice this one, okay? Loan status update, proof of funds. It says required, which we all know it's required, but it's telling you it's missing line 40 signed by the buyer, okay? So it lets you know that that needs to be taken care of still, okay? Now, if it's as applicable and we don't need the as is, well, don't worry about it, okay? It's just what you need for the transaction, but for the most part, she just needs one document here and then she's completely done on this file, okay? So that's what Vicki checks, that's what I check, and that's what you can also check to make sure that you're doing what you need to be doing as far as on these files, okay? That's dotloop in a nutshell for you guys, okay? Hopefully you got a little bit out of that. It's easier than it looks once you get in it and start messing around with it. So if you have any questions, you can text me or email me. I think your name, is that you, Marshy Marsh? So anyway, I will talk to you guys later. Have a great day.